Yes, good evening everybody and welcome to the BFL preview show, proudly supported by McDonald's Ballarat and also Ballarat Toyota. And Shawnee, a big week of football and netball action ahead of us, mate.
Certainly is, mate. It's going to be another huge round, and especially in the footy ranks, there's a couple of games that are really toss the coin kind of stuff this week.
First game we'll look at, mate, is between Darley and Ballarat. This game's played at Darley Park. Look, Darley many would have thought they would have started the season a little bit better than they have. Mm-hmm. And Ballarat had a pretty decent defeat to North City last week. So, look, both teams will be hoping to hit the 4 points here. Darley, you think will be too strong at home.
Pretty important game for both teams. Obviously, Darley last week getting that win against Sebastopol. It's one they would have penciled in, but nevertheless, it's still a confidence booster after dropping a couple of close ones early. Ballarat have really got to work on finishing games. It's twice in the last 2 weeks now where they've basically watched on as the team's got a run on them in the last quarter. North City did it last week. East Point did it the week before. That's going to be their big thing. Darley got that confidence will help them last week. They're still missing Brad Inglis.
Yep.
They're still missing Nathan Jackal, even though he was named in this week's side, but I don't think he'll play. Ballarat had a couple of handy ones in this week too, with James Leakage and Liam Yule coming in with no Roosters or Bendigo Gold this week. So it's going to be a close one. I'm with you though. I think Darley at home.
East Point take on North City at the Eastern Oval. Look, East Point had a really good win last week. Their first win for the season. A win they needed to have, I think.
Definitely.
And I think going into the game, people gave them a chance, but I think people would have thought that the way somebody had been playing, that they would be too strong. But to East Point's credit and to Glenn Wilkins' credit, they had a very good victory. And obviously, North City continued on their winning way last week with a good win over Ballarat. So a big test here for East Point. Can they continue that good form from last weekend? If they can, and they can be competitive and try and get I suppose, if not get the 4 points, it'll show that they're a genuine contender this year. North City, you think, maybe too strong though?
You'd think so, but having said that, we said the same thing last year at East Point. Were the only ones to beat North City during the home and away season last year at the Eastern Oval. Jordan Staley comes in for East Point this week, and that's a huge in, obviously.
Yep.
Someone who's been on an AFL list before, gives them some more height up forward, and height really worked for them surprisingly in wet conditions last week.
Yep.
Brad Whitaker kicked goals, Brad Dreher kicked goals, Angus Wright kicked goals, all tall forwards, Brent Fitzpatrick as well. So they're up and about, and the good thing about East Point at the moment is that Hayden Walters is, as we know, had an interrupted pre-season with that calf injury.
Super last week.
Just coming out the end of it now, he's starting to get a lot of footy, and he's starting to get clean touch of the footy as well. He's primed to rip one open. But North City, in great form at the moment. Marcus Darmody, 4 goals in the last quarter last week in his first game. Jason McNamara's an emergency this week. Ryan Luke's coming back through the twos. They're starting to get all their troops ready again, North City, and I reckon you're right. I reckon they'll be too strong.
Sign of a good side, I think, when key players are coming back through the twos. You not bring them straight back in through desperation. They've got the luxury just to ease guys back in and play them when they're fit. So obviously going very well at the moment, North City. The local derby, Melton South take on Melton, the Melton Rec Reserve. Big game for both sides. I think actually big in for Melton South this weekend. Doug Thomas comes back into the side. He's been an integral part of their midfield the last couple of years. So his grunt around the footy has been missed the last couple of weeks. So I think with him back in the side, Melton South can win this one.
It's almost Melton South. Sorry, keep going.
Melton South are pretty good last week against Redan in a low-scoring affair. Would have been a big upset for them to win. They hit the front in very wet conditions in the last quarter, but Redan kicked a late goal and obviously won by a couple of points. So Melton South aren't far away at all, really.
No, they're not. They showed it in their 3 games this year against some pretty good sides.
Yeah.
The thing is, they haven't got any points in that. They're zip 3. To go zip 4, it's good night nurse for Melton South. It's tough to say in round 4 because there's a lot of footy left, but this is Melton South season right here tomorrow at home against their local rivals who have shown up and down. They had the bye last week. They were up in round 1. They were down in round 2. So it's a little bit of which Melton's going to come to play, which Bloods. But they've got some quality players. But Melton South, they need this. They have to win because of that, because they're playing at their home ground, and because Melton have leaked goals defensively in the first 2 weeks of their season. Michael Powell kicked 8 against them in round 1. Nathan Wright kicked 6 against them in round 2 from Redan. Matthew Sutton sitting up forward, just waiting for a day where he has a bag. He hasn't had one this year. This could be the weekend, and if Suts gets 6 or 7, that's game Panthers.
Definitely. Sebastopol taking on Bacchus Marsh. We know that Bacchus Marsh have started the season very well. Sebastopol has struggled so far this year under new coach Phil Carman. But I think another game at home for Sebast, a game where they can once again try and be competitive. But I think Bacchus Marsh will be too strong.
The signs are there for Sebastopol. They're coming together. Last week, second and third quarter against Darley, they were only outscored by 3 goals. It's coming for Sebastopol. It's coming slowly, but it's coming along. Now, they put 2 quarters together last week. They put 3 together this week against a Bacchus Marsh side that will make life difficult for them. They'll get numbers back, and then they'll try and run, spread and carry and really use the talented guys they've got in that back half of the ground going forward. If they can put 3 quarters together, who knows? Yep. Who knows what's going to happen? They may be in a position, but you just think Bacchus Marsh, with the form they've shown this year, will be too strong here.
You made a good point about them playing a couple of good quarters last weekend. You often see with young sides, they're competitive for 2.5, 3 quarters a game. It's just that 30 or 40 minutes throughout a game that goes for 4 quarters, it can really cost a young side.
Yep.
So they
Somebody showed that last week as well.
They start putting a full game together, they'll certainly be more competitive, which is good
will.
to see. The last game we'll look at is between Sunbury and Redan down at Clark Oval. We know that I suppose the rivalry that's been built up between these two sides over the last couple of years, they've always sort of met when they're in the top couple. It's a bit different this time. They're not in the top couple of teams at the moment, so certainly the rivalry is still there. And look, I think Sunbury at home, I think with their young side on a big oval can be a bit too quick for Redan.
Yeah, some very interesting ins in this game. Sunbury bringing in a pair of players from Bendigo Gold, Jack Sheehan and Daniel Toman playing his first game for Sunbury, who's a star. He was in the VFL Team of the Year last year. He is an out-and-out star. On the other side of the coin, though, you mentioned before, sign of good teams bringing blokes through the twos. Mitch Phelps played twos last week. We know he's a star. Dean Chester's played twos 2 weeks in a row. They're both in this week. Nathan Horbury, who comes into the side with North Ballarat not playing, who's been in fantastic form at North Ballarat this year. And Callum Curry comes back into the side after being a late withdrawal last week, who's in the Interleague squad as well.
Yeah.
I reckon Redan's going to topple them here. I just think that they're primed themselves for this one. Big ground, you're right, but they've got the runners. Their runners are in form. Christian Polo's in the side as well, as we know, so they've got the rotations there. I just think they can do it.
Yeah, very good. Good sum up, Sean. I think it'd be certainly a game to get along to if you're down there in the neck of the woods on Saturday. Mate, as we know, Lake Wendouree have got the bye this weekend.
Yes.
And like we know reasonably well, Scott Carey plays for the Lakers, and
he's a good man, Flat.
Yeah, occasionally. Yeah, he's not a bad bloke. Yeah, but I wasn't talking about him as a bloke. I'm talking about him as a footballer. Last weekend, he ran out of defence, and I'm guessing that as a backman, you always want to try and hit up someone. Not turn the footy over and be fairly astute with the way you kick the ball. He was obviously fairly confused. He loaded up with a big barrel.
I spoke to Flat about this, and it's on the screen at the moment. As you can see, kicks out from full back, runs more. He runs 30, let's be honest, and just absolutely unloads. I spoke to him about it. He said it was late in the game. They're 14 points down. He just said, just unload and get into the forward line. He's got an inside 50 entry from full back kick out. Good work, Flat.
Very good.
Now probably $10 for Flat as well, seeing that on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Gilbert, I hope you're watching.
Yes.
The SE Technology Player of the Month this month, Shawnee, or I should say last month, goes to Stephen Kennedy from the Darley Football Club. He's had a great start to his season. He
has. He's been fantastic for Darley in the first 3 weeks of the season. He's added a bit to that midfield. He's probably been the dominant player in the comp, and we awarded him with the SC Technology Player of the Month award at Interleague training on Tuesday night, and he was absolutely rapt to receive himself a Toshiba tablet valued at $699. So the smile on his face, he was pretty rapt, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's great. And I think it's a really good award, and I think it'll put a smile on many people's faces throughout the year when you hand those tablets over, mate.
Definitely.
Shawnee, thanks very much for joining us on the BFL Footy Show. Nothing more to go through, mate?
No, the Interleague obviously a couple of weeks away. Training started on Tuesday night, and great to see that just about all the named squad was there as well. Shane Scontra got them in, did some team building stuff, some songs, all sorts of stuff going out there. So good night for the first Interleague training session. Yeah, it was a good night, and look, he's very organised, Shane, and he's done a good job so far, and I think he's got full buy-in from the playing group, which is obviously very important at the start of a campaign. So it shows when you've got, I think, a 46-man squad and 43 of them were there.
Yeah, and not too far away from the big interleague clash with Golden Valley, but we'll obviously talk a fair bit more about that.
We will
over the next
in the coming
couple of
weeks.
Shawnee, thanks so much for joining us on the BFL Footy Show.
Always a pleasure, Dodge.
As you all know, this show is proudly supported by McDonald's Ballarat and also Ballarat Toyota. So thanks for joining in. Enjoy the football this weekend. Be good, stay safe. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.